Good day and welcome to today's edition of the Sportwrap show. I'm your host, Limba Mupetami. Let's kickstart the show with a hit list. Well, the Namibian men's side had another courageous and competitive performance, but lost 4-1 to Belgium. The Namibian men will conclude their pool matches against bottom side New Zealand tomorrow night at 9:20 and are still strongly in contention for quarterfinal qualification at this World Cup. On the other hand, the women's side has been eliminated from the race for a quarterfinal position at the Indoor World Cup with one match left to play. That, of course, will be tomorrow at 4:40 against group leader Czech Republic. The African title holders remain last of the 6 teams in Group B with only one draw to show from 4 matches. Moving forward, yesterday the launch of the 2023 Top Score 7-a-side football tournament took place at the Ramblers Club. This year's Top Score tournament is sponsoring, or rather this year Top Score is sponsoring the tournament to the tune of $134,200. There will be 8 groups and 64 teams, with the exciting tournament set to kick off on the 10th of February at the Ramblers Stadium. Now today, the Pupkewitz Motors Group handed over a vehicle to the Namibia Rugby Union in support of the team's quest towards the Rugby World Cup. Here is a clip from what transpired at the event.
Today is an informal event. We have a very short program as well, so please feel free, welcome. We have food on the table and drinks on the side as well. For the media, thank you so much for taking the time today to come. We really appreciate it. And we do have press releases on the table as well. So, like I said, it will be a very short program, and it will start with the opening from the welcome from Ms. Verushka Delaharp, our head of marketing from Pupkewitz Motors.
Today at the beautiful Hage Geingob Stadium. I think on behalf of Pupkewitz Motors and Pupkewitz Nissan as a sub-brand, we are extremely proud to be associated with the Namibian Rugby Union. Not only does this union speak to a very critical sport that is very important for the Namibian society at large, but it also speaks to one of our pillars as a motors group. Going out into local communities together with the Namibia Rugby Union in order to ensure that we create pathways, programs to ensure that these young athletes become national team stars. Also ensuring that we create generations of rugby to come. As part of the build-up for the Namibia Rugby Union to the World Cup, it speaks to the stay stage, which means that not only do we want to be a part of this development of rugby in the country, but we want to sustain it so that rugby does not become a mere figment of our imagination or a dream that could have been. So with that being said, I'd like to thank the President of the Namibia Rugby Union, Mr. Pierre Tron, the CEO, Mr. John Haynes, Head Coach, Mr. Alistair Kutsia. Welcome to our country. We hope you enjoy it here. We hope that our athletes and our rugby locals can learn so much from you and your expertise. From the Pupkewitz Motors Group, our Managing Director, Mr. Anton Westraat, thank you for seeing the bigger picture. Our franchise director, Mr. Nico Peters, who's responsible for Pupkewitz Nissan. And I mean, there's so many other people, but also Mr. Janse van Rensburg, the dealer principal for Pupkewitz Nissan. If it wasn't for your view and your vision in terms of partnering with Namibia Rugby Union, none of us would be standing here today.
It's a privilege for us to be here today, and thanks for making time to join in this great event with us. Yeah, like I say, it's great to showcase our product on this great venue we have here. And I must say, what better bakkie than a Nissan Navara. I think it's definitely the best looking bakkie at this stage in the market. And yeah, it's for us, it's rugby is we've seen in South Africa, it's a sport that brings communities together. So for us, it's a big honor to be part of that, and we want to bring the game to the communities in Namibia as well. So with the build up to the the Curry Cup and the Rugby World Cup this year, what better year to partner with Namibia Rugby. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for supporting our product. And yeah, we're looking forward to a great season in the Curry Cup and also a great Rugby World Cup that's lying ahead.
On behalf of Namibia Rugby, we would like to thank our sponsor, our vehicle sponsor, Pupkewitz Nissan through the Pupkewitz Motors Group. We're really privileged to have you on board with us. As you all know, we've qualified for the World Cup now for the 7th time, but every time it just gets difficult to actually get on board and get there, because the quality of rugby is increasing right around the world. So increased input is always required, and it really lightens our heart when a company like Pupkewitz is actually joining forces with us. That just shows that for them we are also important. And rugby, we are a family. We're a family that have support locally, we have a family that have support internationally. And for that we thank you, and we're so grateful that we have sponsors like this to come on board and assist us in this. To the media, thank you very much for really assisting us and bringing this go closer to the hearts of all Namibians around the country and also overseas. We're really fortunate and we're looking forward to a fantastic year. World Cup is around the corner. We've only got a few months left, but a lot of hard work needs to be done. And for that, we are so thankful that due to some sponsorships that we have with our strategic partners, that we can have a coach here of international standard that's really preparing our boys. We're really looking forward to this, and thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the media, our esteemed guests. Thank you for joining us in the official handover of the Pupkewitz Nissan sponsorship. I think a better appropriate word, partnership, to the Namibia Rugby Union. We have walked the path since 2022, and I must say the relationship to date has been very easy. If I say easy, you will understand why I'm saying easy. Pupkewitz Nissan has been more than just accommodating, and wonderful to have them part of the NRU family. Mr. Janse van Rensburg, I got it right this time, runs a brilliant team, and who has at all times been very helpful, and we applaud you and say very thank you to you and your team. Not only has this generous assistance help us as a union to travel and complete our task easier, it has given us the opportunity to reach further areas which were in the past more of a logistical challenge, and we can now do this in luxury. And so right to say that the Navara is a wonderful vehicle. Another story I will tell on another day. A challenge that we had with our national coach. He refuses to drive a different vehicle, and we've been doing this in amazing style with an amazing brand of vehicles. We are truly thankful to have Pupkewitz Nissan as a partner and as part of our family, and we see great things going forward. This wonderful fleet of vehicles which you have provided us, each with its own set of purpose, certainly fills the gap in many areas. Pupkewitz Nissan, thank you very much.
1984, there was a guy by the name of Gerrie Coetzee. He passed away a couple of weeks ago. Some of you may know his name, South African world boxing heavyweight champion. And I remember very well, we supported boxing a lot in those days, and we watched all these title fights with my father, my grandfather. And one day there was a big thing in the Rapport newspaper where it said a big nice picture about Gerrie and one of his fights, and the FI was printed all over this ad, and it said there they are the sponsor. And I asked my brother, what is a sponsor? And he explained to me, they pay all the money. They pay Gerrie and they pay for the fights and everything. And I couldn't understand, why would a company put up money and pay, a box champ and pay for the fight and all those things. And that was my first introduction to the idea of a sponsorship. So these days it is a privilege, and I think it's a big privilege for us. And I want to thank Namibia Rugby, because over the years we learned to understand the importance of sponsorships in sport. So for us it is a privilege to be a sponsor for Namibian Rugby. I think for us as a brand, it's good to be associated with sport, and it's always nice also to be part of a success story. So thank you Namibia Rugby for the opportunity offered to us, Mr. Haynes, Mr. Tron, to form part of your journey this year, to go to the World Cup. And I must tell you, in our world, it is important, it must make commercial sense, and I can tell you that it's important for us. So we select our partners carefully, and it wasn't a difficult decision to partner with Namibia Rugby because it
The Pupkewitz Megabuild Windhoek is here. The biggest multi-stage cycling event in Namibia is set to start on the 17th of February. Registration will be on the 16th of February at Pupkewitz Megabuild Lifestyle Center in Kleine Kupe. There will be a short 5-kilometer sprint for the yellow jersey race as well. Race director Manny Heyman said the first race will take place on the famous Dortabes Road on Friday morning. Cyclists should be prepared and come with spare tubes because of the rain. Here is Axel Tyson, the president of the Namibia Cycling Federation, speaking at the launch.
Now coming to the Pupkewitz Megabuild Tour de Windhoek.
Don't forget a woman in Africa.
Yeah, true. So this is, thanks Manny for that. Currently we've got our 4 top ladies who are in Accra, Ghana, and will be representing Namibia in the African Road Championships. The first event, the team time trial, is tomorrow on Wednesday. Then on Thursday we'll do the individual time trial, and I think on Friday the road race. So let's hold thumbs for Vera, Courtney, Melissa and Andri, that they do Namibia equally proud. Coming to the Pupkewitz Tour de Windhoek, this year's event, it is again, thanks very much to the huge sponsorship from Pupkewitz Megabuild again. I think this deserves a big round of applause as well for continuing with their sponsorship. It is the biggest multi-stage cycling event in Namibia. It is also one of the biggest road events which we know. It comes with a long history. The first one must have gone back to 1988 or so. When I was a youngster, I vividly remembering in the early days, and Wani and myself were on the bicycles. Myself, Leander, he's nodding. He's only started cycling a bit later. It's one of the big events where we've got different nationalities coming to Namibia specifically for cycling event next to the Nedbank Desert Dash. And our ambition was to have more other nations participating. Currently for this year's event, Leander will advise us about South African teams that have entered again, but our ambition is to grow it over the borders of Africa. I had requests from Malawi. They wanted to send a team in. I have heard that they have not entered, and then we also in collaboration with a team from Angola. So I hope in the bigger event of this Tour de Windhoek, we will see international or more regional participation as well and have more nationalities. Then the other big news of this event is that we've got 7 ladies teams entered, which is a huge plus, because I know when I spoke to the president of African cycling, he said women's cycling development is at the forefront of his agenda. So to have 7 teams in ladies category at this year's Pupkewitz Tour de Windhoek is a big, big plus. So before I hand over to Leander to say something about the race itself and the Tour de Windhoek, I just wanted to thank our sponsors and just mention, apart from Pupkewitz Megabuild and the Pupkewitz Group in general, Radio Wave, Future Media, thanks for your sponsorship. Then Kickstart Events and Chiovita has also come on board for this event. So on this positive note, over to you, to Leander or Mani.
FNB Namibia has announced a 3-year sponsorship towards the Namibia Football Association Women's Super League. The bank has committed 2.5 million each year for the next 3 years. FNB Namibia's retail executive Nangula Koluma, Deputy Chairperson of the FIFA Normalization Committee Afra Shiming-Chase, NFA Women's Desk Secretary General Jackie Gertze, and Minister of Sport Agnes Shongarero were at the signing off of the 7.5 million towards the NFA Women's Super League for a period of 3 years. Now, with the league receiving 2.5 million each year, here is footage from today's event.
By the strength of the Women Super League. It is this league that must export Namibian women football players to advanced clubs in the leagues somewhere around the continent, in the world, to bring depth and quality to brave gladiators for our national team to stand its ground against competitive football nations in the race for Africa Women Cup of Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, our neighbors, South Africa, their Banyana are the reigning champions of the Africa Women Cup of Nations, isn't it? And the brave gladiators must take a deliberate decision to also win the women football competition of Africa, come hell of high water. Let's do it. Be that it may, let's look into the quality of service and personal commitment to excel as an athlete. This is a topic that lies close to my heart, and I get disconcerted when the section I'm responsible for does not comply to the minimum standards of quality and service delivery in football. The sponsorship agreement comes as a robust and exciting time when funds are increasingly becoming a scarce commodity for all sectors of the economy. However, this should not be flagged as an excuse to further deprive the youth of Namibia from quality sport training and grassroots level development. This requires that the NFA and all other sport federations adopt new ways of out-of-the-box thinking to give velocity to the potential young sportmen and women, boys and girls can deliver to economic development. Madam Shiming-Chase and the Normalization Committee, I'm confident that with your proven spirit of collaborative stakeholder engagement, this ceremony will successfully interrogate the challenges in women football development and hopefully design concrete and practical approaches that will help the 14 clubs. The NFA is therefore mandated to ensure that the Women's Super League achieves the following, and please take note. Ensure that grassroots level development will take place in order to sustain the Women's Super League, as the girl child of today are the brave gladiator of tomorrow. Number 2, ensure that FNB gets the necessary marketing return on investment. Number 3, ensure brand visibility on your playing gear and field branding at your training field and competition venues. 4, make sure that you have an FNB account as a club. And
professional male basketball players make an average of $5 million per year. Professional female basketball players, anyone want to give a stab? Anyone? One number? So versus the 5 million, 72,000. It gets worse. In essence, when you do the maths, I had scientists help me with the calculations and a researcher look through the data. All men, by the way. The men spent yesterday going what is this? They were outraged by the end of the day because they knew there's inequity, but the extent to which it is, and when they got into talking data scientists and proper, professional researchers, they couldn't. The women were busy with other stuff in my team, but the men just came out with, what on earth? What kind of, they were befuddled. Couldn't, a level of unconscious bias that opened for them yesterday. So men are making 50 times more than women, and it's not like they're playing different sports. So I'm going to come to some global statistics. I didn't want to step into the local statistics because I assumed some of that would be covered, which it has been. But here are a few points. In 2015, the Women's Football Cup, the total prize money was $15 million versus the prize money at the 2018 Men's Cup, which came in at $791 million. Can I say that again? $15 million for the Women's World Cup. And the Men's World Cup, which followed, 700, see, I even wish, 791. $2.5 million. That's how much men's national soccer team received for quality.
Now we cross over to Ari Hogard as he brings us international sports news in the Globetrotter segment of today's show. And of course, that will conclude today's show. Please do catch us again tomorrow, same place, same time.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news and starting off with tennis news. The WTA Women's Tour that continues, it's the Abu Dhabi Open that continued, and news from the tournament in the round of 32, it is Shelby Rogers of the USA. She beat Leila Fernandez of Canada. The score there was 6-4, 6-7 and 6-1 in the third set. Leila Fernandez a few years ago played in the US Open final, so a good win for Shelby Rogers. Also, Karolina Pliskova through to the top 16 or the last 16 of the tournament. She was meant to play against Gabina Muguruza, also a major champion from Spain, but it is Muguruza that's injured and she withdrew from the tournament. It was Karolina Pliskova that then played against Alessina Bonaventure. She is from Belgium, and an easy win for Pliskova, 6-1 and 6-3. She will now have a tough game in the round of 16. She needs to play Elena Rybakina, the third seed. Rybakina in good form. She played in the final of the Australian Open and also in 2022 won the Wimbledon title. Also, Karolina Pliskova, she's got a good tennis CV as well. She played in the finals of the US Open in 2016. Also played in the final of Wimbledon. That was in 2021. And now continuing with cricket news, it is the T20 Women's World Cup that will start this Friday. It is South Africa playing the opening game against Sri Lanka. That's at Newlands in Cape Town. The world rankings, bowling and batting in the T20 for women also came out. The strong indication that Australia will be a tough team to beat. Looking at the batting specifically, they've got 4 of the top 6 batsmen in the world on that rankings at the moment. Number 1 is Talia McGrath of Australia. Number 2 is Beth Mooney, also from Australia. And then number 4 is the captain Meg Lanning. And number 6, Ashley Gardner, also from Australia. The best South African batsman on that list at the moment is number 12, that is Laura Wolfhard. In the bowling, South Africa doing a little bit better. They've got number 2 bowler, number 1 bowler on that list at the moment is Sophie Ecclestone of England. England's got 3 bowlers in the top 10, so they will also be a tough team to beat at the World Cup. The number 2 bowler on the world rankings is from South Africa, that is Nonkululeko Malaba, and the number 9 is also from South Africa, that is Shabman Ismail. The tournament starts on Friday, like I said. That's the first game in Cape Town, South Africa, that will play against Sri Lanka. Continuing international sports news with rugby news, and it is England Rugby that made a change in their coaching staff that will be effective after the Six Nations. Quite a few games left still in the Six Nations. It was England that lost to Scotland at Twickenham in London the past weekend in the first game of the 2023 Six Nations. Its forwards coach, it is Richard Cockrell that will go to France. He will coach Montpellier. That will be after the Six Nations. Richard Cockrell was the only coach that was left from the Eddie Jones era. It is a new coach in Steve Borthwick that England do have at the moment. Cockerell will be replaced by Saracens forward coach. His name is Ian Peel. So this coming weekend, England's got a little bit of an easier game, but all games will be tough in the Six Nations. They will host Italy. That will also be in London at Twickenham, and that game will be played on Sunday. 2 games on Saturday. The massive game, the first one will be the world number 1 and 2 playing each other. World number 1 is Ireland. They play at home in Dublin. They play against France, currently world number 2. Both those teams had wins in the first weekend of the Six Nations. The second game on Saturday will be Scotland. That will host Wales. Closing off today's international sports news with golf news, and it is good news for Justin Rose. Justin Rose, he won the AT&T Classic at Pebble Beach over the weekend on the PGA Tour, and he jumped all of 36 positions with the new world golf rankings that came out. He was 71 before the start of the AT&T Classic at Pebble Beach, and he's now number 35 in the world after a win. Good result for Justin Rose. He's been battling with back injury. He was a 2016 Olympic champion as well, and the significant for him for being in the top 50 now is that he will have automatic entries into all the majors. He already did qualify for the Masters that will take place in April at Augusta, and also a good chance that he might be in the European team, that is for the Ryder Cup that will be in Italy in September. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk again tomorrow. Goodbye.